So just a little bit about Swamiji, right? So Swamiji is a sannyasin from the tradition of Satyananda Bihar Yoga. She was born in Paris to Australian parents, and Swami Yogaratna ji has been raised in India. After her education, she committed her life to spiritual quest, and she spent many, many years learning different techniques of yoga and served as a sannyasin sevak. Since then, Swamiji has given numerous yoga programs all over the world, and her main aim is to really help people reduce their suffering through the science of yoga. So Swamiji has over 35 years of experience learning and teaching different forms of yoga, such as asana, pranayama, shatkarmas, yoga therapy, stress management, yoga for women, yoga for children and the elderly, yoga for the handicapped and other vulnerable communities, and yoga for cancer healing, and many, many more communities. I have so much respect for Swamiji. Swamiji also runs the Shankar Prasad Ashram, which is a beautiful center in the beach town of Gokarna for spiritual seekers. It's a place where people come and take a break from their daily lives, refresh, recharge, and go with more fulfillment, more clarity, and more connection to their higher consciousness. It's a place where one can also experience organic agriculture, learn yoga and meditation, and also really come and volunteer in the community projects that are run by the ashram. So we welcome you, Swamiji. It's such a blessing to have you here with us.
Thank you, Priya.
We're happy to have you here. So, Swamiji, if you could just begin by telling us a little bit about your journey and how you really chanced upon yoga.
Actually, in my early half of my life, first half of my life, I was leading quite a different life, probably a life similar to many of us have led in the early years. You could say that it was, I was just doing all the things that, you know, people were expected to do. I was leading quite a decadent life, and I was not at all interested in yoga or spirituality. But then something happened and I gave up my job. I had a very good job and I took a year of leave and I tried different things and I found that they were really good and I didn't want to go back to my job. And then I suffered quite ill health. I was suffering a lot from depression and also physically. And I came back to India. I'd arranged to travel with a friend and I was in such a bad state. I thought, well, I've heard that these ashrams are peaceful places. Let me go to an ashram and, you know, spend some time and recoup and everything. And then I'll go traveling with my friend. So I searched for ashrams and everyone recommended Bihar School of Yoga. And somehow I landed up in the Bangalore branch, a small branch. And when I first entered the ashram, you know, I was quite confronted by the shaved heads and the orange robes and sitting on the floor and everything like that. But it was funny because within a day, I was completely feeling fine, 100%, you know, after being bedridden practically. And within a few days, I just felt totally different. And um, and then I started doing the yoga, and I was not at all interested in yoga. But when I attended the Yoga Nidra course, wow, that was kind of like a revelation and opening up of my mind. I had been aware of my inner mind, but I'd never really given it much thought or validation. And when I learned Yoga Nidra and I heard the word, I got to know the meaning of the word Chidakash, and I realized that the inner world was just as valid as the external world. That really had a tremendous opening for me. Because now, as I keep telling people, you know, as vast as the outer world is, so vast is in the inner world. And so it was really kind, as I said, a validation of the inner world. But then as I kept practicing, within a few weeks actually, I realized that this is how I wanted to live, helping myself and helping others. And even though I was not at all interested in asanas at first, I found that they really were good and made me feel good. And of course, the combination of asanas, pranayams, meditations, karma yoga, and the ashram lifestyle, it really did wonders for me. And I really got a purpose in life. In fact, I loved it so much that all I wanted to do was dedicate myself to my then guru and to serve him and, be in the ashram, serve, love, give, as Swami Shivananda says. So then I just, threw away my air ticket, and I was already, had done so many things in my life. And I stayed on in the ashram and worked hard, learned everything, really got involved and loved it. And I'm still doing the same thing after so many years. And, along the way, I learned so much about all the techniques and about yoga therapy. I had the good fortune to soon, my first guru, who was a disciple of Swami Satyananda, he had to leave India, and he was replaced by a venerable old Swamiji, Swami Kriyanand, who had been through all the different things. He had walked the length and breadth of India, and he had studied and practiced Ayurveda, naturopathy, and of course yoga. And he was one of those kind of very quiet, knowledgeable types. And I learned so much from him, because when he arrived, even before setting over the threshold, he said, "I'm retired. I'm not going to do any karma yoga. But if you people have to run the ashram, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them." So at that stage, because the first guru had to leave, many of the people left the ashram, and because my guru had told me, "Stay as long as you can and work hard," that's what I did. So I served Swami Kriyanand, and I learned so much from him. And a lot, I really learned a lot about yoga therapy. And what happened was, people would come to the ashram. We were in a suburban area of Bangalore in Jayanagar. And in those days, it was all local people, Indians, who came with all kinds of problems. And they'd come and they'd say, "This is my problem, blah, blah, blah." I'd be there in the reception room and talking to them. And then I'd dash in to see Swami Kriya, and then say, "So-and-so says so-and-so, what should I do?" And he'd say, "Oh, teach them this, this, and this." So then I'd enroll them in the class, and I'd teach them. And in this way, I learned so much. And of course, I was kind of nervous because I had to teach them, but they thought I knew everything because I was wearing this color. And so I'd research everything. And this is really a great way to learn. And then, of course, as I got sick with different things, you would experiment on myself and learn how to overcome it. And in those days, yoga therapy was not at all known. And so I was lucky enough to really, learn from the bottom up. And now there are so many yoga therapy books and people and everything. And well, that's how I got into it. And one of my favorite practices is Yoga Nidra. And even after so many years, every time I teach it, I'm experiencing it. And I'm, thinking those new people, they never experienced Yoga Nidra before. And, now they're experiencing, I'm experiencing with them. So it's always a joy. It's always fresh for me. And I really love, sharing that state, that practice with them.
Beautiful, Swamiji. Thank you. So, Swamiji, we do have a lot of people who are new to yoga. So, can you just tell us a little more about, what's the difference between exercise, yoga, and yoga therapy? How are these three different?
Yes, that's the thing, you see. A lot of people say, I practice yoga. And in the old days, it meant I do Padmasana and stand on my head. But nowadays, it means I do some kind of a, gym exercise in leotards or, fancy leggings. And, I kind of think, do they really know what they're talking about? Or do they really mean yoga? And, a lot of people in those days when I was in the ashram, a lot of people came for therapy purposes. And then once they started learning all the different yogas, they got interested in the spiritual and the deeper aspect. And nowadays, people do it as an exercise. And actually, it's necessary because we live such a sedentary lifestyle that we really do need some active, dynamic exercise activities or yoga or yoga. if you like to call it that. And then from there, you'll notice that a lot of people, they start with the, physical dynamic things. And then they kind of learn a little bit more and a little bit more, and then they get interested, and then they get into the flow of yoga. And what is the meaning of yoga? Yoga doesn't mean exercise. Yoga means union of body, mind, and soul, or union of the individual, the cosmos. And for example, you read a book like Bhagavad Gita, a famous holy book. The whole thing is about yoga, 18 chapters just on yoga, every page full of the word yoga. But there's not one single asana in it. And even in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, I think there's only about 4 or 5 pages about asanas. So what is yoga? So asanas is only a small part of yoga. And yoga, as I said, means union of body, mind, and spirit. It's not only the state, but the technique to reach that state. So for example, when we get together and do chanting, as we do, oops, the dog is knocking the table over. So as for example, when we in the morning, when we get together and do chanting, we are all together. We are all chanting the same mantra at the same tune, the same pronunciation, the same speed, and even people online are joining us. And that is actually a yoga. It's harmony and togetherness, and through that oneness, we're all being uplifted and experiencing the divine, some of us. And so this is also a yoga, but you never think of it as being a yoga, do you? So I'd really hope that people realize that yoga is so much more than asanas. I'd say asanas is probably 5%, but it's a great start because we need that start. And then once you get to be acquainted with your body and your breath, and then you realize your moods and all those sort of things, and you go deeper and deeper, and you discover so many wonderful and mysterious things. And yes, what is the difference between asanas and yoga? I mean, exercise and asanas. So note, I say asanas, not yoga. So I remember in the old days, we used to prepare this talk to give to the students. And the main thing is that when we do exercises, we do it, we do exercises in a mechanical way, and we do it for building up the body, for building up the muscles, for the look of the body, and we might even strain the muscles and the joints, and we try and kind of build up a sweat, and we do exercises. Some people do exercise, or maybe most people do it for fitness and health. But the thing is, they're working only on the body level, on the physical level. So if you want to really get the maximum out of asanas, then whatever you're doing, whether it be, you could be doing exercises or gym or swimming, jogging, whatever, if you put your mind to it, if you put your awareness on what you're doing, then you get so much more benefit. Because as I was saying before, yoga means union. So you could do an asana or an exercise in a mechanical way while you're thinking about what am I going to have for breakfast, or what work do I have to do today. And that often happens, that the mind will start wandering away and thinking of other things. It's not a bad thing, because it's actually a process of chitta shuddhi. Chitta means consciousness or mind, and shuddhi means purification. So when we're doing the asanas with concentration and focus and awareness, all these thoughts bubble up to the surface of our awareness, and they come to the surface and they go out like bubbles on the surface of water. So this is actually the process of getting them out. So it's not a bad thing. But what we have to do is not fight with the mind and say, no, I don't want to think. Instead, what we have to do is say, there's my mind, it's gone off again. It's okay. Now let me bring it back. There's my mind gone off again. It's okay. Let me bring it back. And in this process, you're actually developing a meditation. So as you're doing the asanas, you're doing it physically, but you're also feeling what's happening. Where do I feel the stretch? Where do I feel the squeezing? Have I got any tenderness over here? Have I got any difficulty? And then we can also think about what is the benefit. Why am I doing it? I'm doing this to relieve my back pain, or I'm doing this to keep fit and healthy. I'm doing this to bring my high blood pressure down. So if you feel what's happening as you do it, if you think of what the benefits are, or maybe sometimes you remember you're in your yoga teacher. Many times when we do an asana, we remember the first time we did it with our yoga teacher. So even that is focusing your mind on the present moment, on what you are doing at that present moment in the asana. So I think that this is the good way of doing asanas, to keep your attention with on the present moment, to keep your mind with your body. That is a yogic way of doing asanas. And exercises, nothing wrong with exercises, it's very good. But actually, we can add the awareness of yoga along with our exercises and get even more benefit.
Very beautifully explained, Swamiji. Thank you. Considering now that everywhere on social media, yoga has just become like a gymnast movement, I know some of us are really trying hard to keep it like traditional and really help people explore what really yoga is. It's actually just inner union. Thank you, Swamiji. So I know that on the Sarveda platform, you're going to be teaching the yoga therapy course. So could you tell us a little more about what yoga therapy is? Is it for everybody? Like, what are its uses? And maybe if you have like one or two examples of how it's really changed people's lives, that would be really good for everybody to know.
The beauty about yoga is that it starts where you are. So if you're fit and healthy, it's going to start at that level. And if you are weak or ill, it's going to start at that level. So yoga improves us, yoga evolves us, yoga develops us. So whatever state you're in, it's going to improve. So therefore, that's why it can so easily be used as a therapy, because it's going to strengthen your body and your organs and the endocrine system and the nerves, and the yoga works on all the different levels. Usually, when I'm teaching, I always go through and explain the panchakoshas. The panchakoshas are a framework that it describes each person as a conglomeration of different aspects: the body, the energy body, the mind and the senses, the wisdom mind and the emotions, the creative mind, and then the deeper aspect, the soul, that life force that's living through this body. So all these aspects are part of us. We're not just the body, we're not just the mind, we're not just the emotions, but we're all those things are part and parcel of us. And so when we do yoga, and this is not only asanas, but all the different aspects of yoga, it works on the different levels and improves whatever you are. It's going to strengthen and improve. Plus things like asanas, they're not simply just building up muscles or reducing your weight or whatever, but they work on a very deep level to massage the organs of the body, to activate and stimulate the different systems of the body, to tone up the nerves and the muscles. Even simple asanas like Tadasana, the palm tree pose. Usually I teach those three, TTK, Tadasana, stretching up, Tiriya Katarasana, sideways, Kati Chakrasana, twisting. And those three asanas stretch sideways and twist your body, and that really works on the whole body. It works on your spine, which supports the body and protects the organs. It works on the endocrine system. It works on the blood circulatory system. It tones up the nerves and muscles, loosens the joints. And so whatever ailment you have is going to be relieved. So it really, the yoga works on a very deep, the asanas work on a very deep level. And then a lot of the asanas, pranayams, and higher practices work on the chakras. And the chakras are energy centers that supply energy to the various organs and systems of the being. And so they're going to improve wherever you are. If you have a blocked Manipur chakra at the navel, then that's going to release the blockage and get your Manipur activated and flowing better. so that you have more energy, so that you remove the energy block and things get balanced. So that's why yoga works really well for therapy purposes. Actually, it wasn't meant as a therapy originally. It was meant as a preparation for enlightenment. But along the way, we found that yogas were really good for improving ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, in every way, spiritually. And so that's why now a lot of people turn to yoga therapy, and that's why it's so good. So it works on the panchakoshas on every different level, because you see, many of the many of the problems that we have, for example, stress. Stress happens, it starts from the mental level and it permeates and percolates down to the physical level. So, for example, you may have stress and tension and get a headache as a result. And that headache gets so intense that the tension comes down the nerves and muscles down the neck and radiates uh, out through your shoulders. So then you might get spondylitis and shoulder pain. So releasing the shoulder pain and spondylitis with shoulder rotation and neck movements will relieve your headache and will release the tension and anxiety. So it kind of works both ways. The subtle goes to the gross and the gross goes to the subtle. And even with Yoga Nidra, the relaxation meditation, it's a panacea for all ailments. Plus, it's just a good enjoyment, and plus, it's a spiritual practice. So, with Yoga Nidra, you relax on a very deep level, and that relaxation from the depths of your subconscious permeates and percolates down and out to the grosser levels of your physical body. That's why many of the same yogas work on different ailments, and this is how therapy works. You know, it kind of works on the yoga therapy works on the whole being, because it works on the deeper, higher, and the more subtle aspects of our being. And the other thing about yoga is the shatkarmas. Shatkarmas are the cleansing practices. So they're really very effective. But basically, we drink warm, salty water, or we use warm, salty water, and it goes through the body and cleanses everything, removes the toxins. And it's a really good, effective way for many of the problems. So I'm just wondering now whether I've covered everything. Um, so even though we say that yoga doesn't work on the particular parts of the body, because the chakras are linked with the different parts of the body, for example, the Manipur um, supplies energy in the digestive system, and the Anahat chakra at the chest center supplies energy for the heart and the lungs and the blood circulatory system. By doing the yogas for those particular chakras, you're going to be addressing those systems. So, so in the end, actually, when you do all the yogas, they work on the chakras, and they work on the body, and they work on the mind, and so you get relief on all different levels.
Thank you, Swamiji.
I hope I've covered everything.
Yes, yes, thank you so much. I know you've done a lot of work in the vulnerable communities. You've helped people in, you've helped like cancer surviving children. So maybe could you just tell us a little bit more about that and how yoga therapy has helped all of those communities as well?
Yes, I remember when I first started teaching handicapped children, and I was thinking, uh, how am I going to do this? And then I realized it's simple, because yoga works from where you're at. You just see what the person can do, and then you give them those things, and they're going to get benefit from it. And because yoga therapy is so for handicapped children anyway, or for handicapped people, it's so physical. They get a buzz out of it because it makes them feel good. I remember once meeting a retarded boy. He was a Down syndrome, I think, and he was leading a yoga class, and I was thinking, my goodness, I wonder how he does that. And then his mother explained to me that he lived in a community, I think, and he had this big yoga class, and he never ever spoke. What he had was he had a bell, and he'd ring the bell and he'd do an asana, and then everyone would follow. And then he'd ring the bell and do another asana, and everyone would follow. And he did the whole class like that, and it worked really well, and everyone loved it. And he was really good. He was not only, I mean, he was quite flexible, not like a rubber person, but quite flexible. And he did all the asanas to strengthen the body, to increase flexibility. And you see, when you have a mental ailment like retardation or depression or even schizophrenia, if you focus on doing things on the physical level, you don't feel the imbalance, and so it makes you feel very good. And especially for things like depression, anything physical is really good because it takes your mind off your mind and brings it down, grounds it. So therapy on the or working on the differently abled is yoga is very good for them. But I think you're waiting for the story about the cancer kids, because I remember a few years ago when I met Sandhya, we became good friends, and she said, "Oh, why don't you come and volunteer for our Samiksha? They do activities for cancer kids because the kids who have cancer, they miss so much time in school, and they're in the hospital. They don't meet other, well, they do meet other kids actually, but they miss their family and they out of their normal life, and so they provide tuition, library books, activities, and then they started yoga." And I thought, oh no, what can I do for these poor cancer kids, Because when you have cancer, you can't do any vigorous asanas. You have to do only very gentle things like PM1 is ideal for cancer, and some of the gentle pranayams. And of course, Yoga Nidra is ideal because cancer's got a lot to do with the subtler aspects of our being. So anyway, I went to the hospital and I saw these poor kids, all shaved heads with diagrams drawn on their bald heads, and no eyebrows, and yet they've got these catheters or whatever they call inside their arms, and yet there they were, and yet that's what they were doing is jumping around and playing and having a great time. And it was so confronting to see how you know how they looked, as if they were skeletons and maybe suffering a lot, and yet they were just happy and carrying on. And so I realized that they're human beings inside. And so I planned yoga therapy for them, asanas, pranayams, and especially yoga nidra, because there's a very good healing yoga nidra, which is based on boosting the immune system. In fact, yoga is very good for the immune system because especially when you do yoga nidra, you relax on a very deep level, and that recharges and refreshes and rejuvenates the immune system, so that naturally you're going to get better. So, can you still hear me? Because I think my battery
Yes,
has gone on the mic. Just let me know if you can't hear me.
I
So,
can hear you fine.
this visualization is really good, and it comes from a book called Getting Well Again by Carl Simonton, C-A-R-L, Carl Simonton, Getting Well Again. It's a very old book, but it's really good, and it's specifically about cancer, but it also deals with other ailments. And the beauty is, you see, because when we were teaching those kids, I was teaching in English, and the teachers who were on a full-time basis, they were translating into Kannada, but a lot of the kids were coming from different parts of India, and so they didn't understand neither English nor Kannada. So I had to communicate to them. So what we used to do is that after the visualization, we'd get them to draw what they visualized. And immediately you understood whether they got it or not, whether they were actually strengthening their immune system and the white blood corpuscles or not. And then you could direct them through their drawings to do the right thing or the better thing. So I don't know whether you understand the details of that, but I'm just trying to make it short. But it was really a very satisfying thing. And I would say it is a very satisfying thing because Samiksha is still doing great work with cancer kids. And I've just finished giving course for the new volunteers who are teaching the cancer kids at yoga at Samiksha. And it's good for everyone, not only cancer kids. But of course, you have to understand. So you have to understand the the different abilities of the people you're teaching, and you have to use your common sense of what's going to work for them, and you have to be very familiar with the yoga and how it works on you, so that you can easily see what are the things that are going to work for them. There's no point in doing something that they can't do just because, for example, I see in many of the books, you've got to do Ardha Matsyendrasana for diabetes. Now, most people who have diabetes can't do that asana, because the reason why they've got diabetes is because they're overweight and they're sedentary, so they're not flexible. And only flexible people can do that asana. So what's the use of recommending a difficult asana for people who won't be able to do it? So instead, if you recommend things like the PM2 series, knee to nose or trunk rolling, anyone can do that. And it's so beneficial for the pancreas and the stomach. So it's kind of common sense, we call it common sense yoga, to see what is the need, understand the yoga and the reality, and implement it.
That's true. So the yoga and art are very, very, very therapeutic. So thank you for sharing those examples from your experience. Swamiji, just one real quick question before I open it up to the audience. So this course that you're going to be doing on Sarveda, is there any prerequisite? If you could just share a little bit for people to know, like how long, what are you going to cover? Maybe just a tiny bit, and then we'll open it up for audience questions.
I feel very honored to be invited to do this course, to give this course.
David, quite often in the early years when I was serving in Bangalore Ashram, and it has to be, it can't be for beginners. It's for people who are either familiar with Yoga Nidra, but preferably for teachers. So once you're familiar with yoga, meditation, pranayama, shatkarmas, then you can learn the therapy aspect. Having said that, because each unit is for a different part of the body, the respiratory system, the digestive system, the skeletal system, or the blood circulatory system, and so on. People who have those ailments can come just for that unit and learn the yogas that are good for them. So, people who want to do the whole course and become a yoga therapist and learn and help people with yoga therapy, they can do that. But the people who are suffering can also come to the various units and get benefit. So, that's how it is. And of course, if you've done Yoga Nidra, it helps because, as I said before, Yoga Nidra is a panacea for all ailments except some of the mental problems like depression and schizophrenia. But apart from that, Yoga Nidra is...
I have a question. So firstly, it felt like a meditation session because it was very calming to listen to you for the past 30-35 minutes. I have this question. Having chosen a life as a sannyasin, do you ever get this? Is it as calming or as therapeutic, or do you also sometimes feel like the grass is greener on the other side? For example, like me, I sometimes when I'm going through like a rough patch or something, I'm like I wish I could just go and to the Himalayas and meditate and all that. So I want to understand from your journey, what do you feel having gone to the sannyasin?
I feel really lucky because in my early life I was kind of a decadent terror. I tried everything. I've been there, man. I've done everything, man, that kind of thing. So I was really interested in experiencing as much as I could in my life. And So I did everything. And when I had this good job and I took a year's leave without pay, I actually did a personality development course. And that personality development course helped me we did, part of it was, to write your life script and write down everything that you wanted to do in your life. And so we write everything, what we'd love to do, perfect life and everything. And then they say, well, now off you go. You can do it. There's nothing to stop you. No limits barred. So I did. I had a list of about 6 things that I wanted to achieve in my life. And I went out and did them. And as a result, when I came to the ashram, I had a little house in Australia. I said goodbye to my friends there. I put everything in the attic. I put the house in for rent. And I said to my friends, I don't know when I'm going to ever see you again. And off I went. So by the time I reached India in the ashram, there was absolutely nothing holding me back. So it was really easy. It was so natural and normal. And, I just wanted to embrace that life because for me, it looked like such a good life, a meaningful life, a life where I was working and helping myself and working and helping other people. And it was kind of, a lot of people say, oh, you must have sacrificed a lot and you gave up so much and this and that. But no, for me, it was kind of like running into a good life. And I would imagine it's like falling in love and getting married. When you fall in love and getting married, you never think, oh, I'm sacrificing, do you? No, you think I'm going to share my life with this wonderful person and we're going to have a great life together. And that's what it was like. It was like, wow, I'm going to live this life with my guru and with the organization. And I'm going to have a great life with the ashram and with these people. And it was like joining a family because I do feel like I'm part of the Satyananda family, even though I never see other Satyananda people now. But my guru is in my heart, and the guru, the external guru leads you to the external guru leads you to the inner guru, and the inner guru is the cosmic consciousness and the Satguru. And so, the image of my external guru is kind of the focus for my mind, but I know intellectually that it's representing that life force that's all around. So as we're sitting here and talking about this, that life force is aware of it and is with us and has brought us together and is, we're part of that flow. So I very, very rarely missed anything from the outside. In the early days of the ashram, I led a very, very austere, restrained and strict, cloistered life. And I remember, I hope I've got time to give you the story. I remember when I took karma sannyas, when you take sannyas, you have to give everything to the guru. So I took all my savings out and I gave everything that I had to my guru. And then I suddenly realized that I didn't have any money. And one of the things I wanted to do when I came to India was go to the sweet shops and have some Indian sweets because I love Indian sweets. And so I thought, oh my God, I don't have any money. I won't be able to enjoy those sweets. So my job was kitchen in charge, and I had to go and buy the provisions every time. So I thought, oh, what can I do? I can't spend ashram money on sweets for myself. So what I used to do is every afternoon I used to do yoga nidra. And in the yoga nidra, I used to walk up to the Jayanagar complex. I go to the Kunti sweet shop, sit there, choose a sweet, and then eat it. Of course, I grew up in India, so I was already familiar with the sweets. So choose and eat and eat and eat until I was feeling thoroughly sick, and then walk back to the ashram again. So I got to know how to satisfy all my cravings and needs without even doing anything. So that was one thing that, A, that I'd done everything anyway. B, that if there was something small that I wanted to, I could satisfy myself. Because actually everything we experience is experienced in the mind. So when we realize that we can actually awaken that experience and satisfy ourselves. And that's what we do in the yoga. But another thing I'll tell you is, I think it was in 2000 or 1999, my father called me to look after him in New Zealand. So I went there. I was in Mongolia at that stage. I was doing 2 years in our main ashram in Mongolia. And my father phoned and said, can you come and look after us? We're very old, no one there. So I went to look after them, and he died fairly soon. And as a result, he said, you know, you have to be financially independent. We can't afford you. So I did a retraining course as an English teacher. And I did the course and I started teaching, and he died. And I thought, well, what's the point of wasting this course? Let me get a job. So I looked for the most lucrative job in that line. And I ended up teaching in Korea, South Korea, for 11 months. So actually, I called it my sabbatical, where I took off from the ashram and I lived a normal, well, I don't know it's normal. Well, it wasn't actually grihastha because didn't have a partner at that stage. But I lived the outside of the ashram life, and I did the normal things. And from that time, it was about 18 months if you consider the time I was looking after my father and teaching in South Korea. But in that time, I realized that really my life was in the spiritual path. And I was very happy at the end of my tenure to come back to the ashram and come back to the spiritual path. So it really does answer your question that, you know, I don't miss anything. But on the other hand, to really clarify with you, it's destiny. Taking sannyas is destiny. They say only 1 in a million take sannyas. But you know, you don't need to be a sannyas to lead a spiritual life. You don't need to be a sannyasi to evolve and become enlightened. In fact, in the household life, you get plenty of challenges. And if you just have the right attitude with those challenges and take them as learning opportunities, then you can definitely achieve everything and evolve and grow. I mean, you look at history. So many of the evolved people were family people. They were not sannyasis. So it is one life, one way of living. And I think nowadays, I mean, even plenty of, you know, unmarried people are living a spiritual life without wearing the robes and everything. But I would say that in my case, I needed to wear the robes. I needed to be in the ashram in order to be able to make my life more disciplined and in the right track. Otherwise, I would have got lost somewhere else.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.
Thank you.
That right there were like a good few golden nuggets of wisdom that you gave us. Thank you so much. I do see that Aryan has a question. Aryan, do you want to just unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hi there. Aryan and Arman are my twin boys. My name is Raj.
Okay.
We spoke yesterday.
Yes. And this is in connection with the Yoga Nidra class. If you could just, maybe in a few words or a little more in detail, tell if it's something right for me. Probably Priya, you also could pitch in if you've taken this course. I'm into the business of day trading. In India, the closest title that comes close to that is a stockbroker. So very stressful. No sleep. I don't get.
Excellent for stress. What? It's excellent for stress. It's excellent for sleep, and it's excellent for therapy, and it's excellent for enjoyment. And this particular Yoga Nidra, because quite a few people have got sleep problems, I'm going to be including things, suggestions, and practices for overcoming sleep problems. So I think it definitely is for you, Raj.
Perfect. And just a quick thing about, is there any things that I need to prepare for it? For example, do I have to have a mat, be on the floor or on the bed, or zoom in, zoom out?
Yeah, it's better to do it, wear loose, comfortable clothing, and on a mat on the floor. You should be not too cold and not too hot, and you shouldn't be disturbed. So put your phone on silent, and you shouldn't be disturbed by children, mosquitoes, pets, or anything like that. So you have to just arrange it like that. But I'll tell you all that in the course.
I have a question, Swamiji. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm very happy to hear you today. And like I basically work with children. So I teach yoga to children. So I want to hear about your experiences with children in with respect to yoga nidra, and how is it being more effective on children than on adults? Like, so I just want to hear some experiences.
Basically, yoga nidra for children is very different because children can get into their deep subconscious very easily. They're already in touch with their inner subconscious, but they can't stay in a relaxed state for very long. So you can do the sections of the yoga nidra as separate yoga nidras for them. They can't do more than 5, 10, or 15 minutes, depending on their age. So, you know, I'd say below 8, only 5 minutes, between 8 and 13, 10 minutes, above 13, 15 minutes. So they can't, you have to make them very short yoga nidras, but you can go very deep. They can lie down in Shavasana and immediately go into the visualization, or they can enjoy all the different steps and they'll be able to do it easily. But there is a very good, yeah, sure. There is a very good book called Yoga Education for Children, which is really great for teaching all yogas for children. And in part 2 of that book, I've got a chapter on teaching yoga nidra and meditation to children. So please do have a look at it. Yoga Education for Children, and it comes from the Bihar School of Yoga, Swami Satyananda.
I just got the book, Swamiji. Yeah, and I'll check it. Thank you.
Okay. Swamiji, I know we do have literally just about like a couple of minutes left, maybe 10 minutes. So if you could just lead us through maybe a short practice, that would be really nice because I can see requests from people on the chat box as well.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone, just settle down, either sitting or lying down. Make yourself very comfortable. If you have the chance to support your head, have your head supported on something. If you have a tendency to go to sleep and you're feeling very sleepy, you could just sit upright in a chair. But the main thing is feel now, close your eyes and feel the shape and position of your physical body and check that it feels balanced and symmetrical. You can either have your feet flat on the floor or crossed as you wish, as you feel more comfortable, but your body should feel balanced and symmetrical. And once you've settled yourself down, take a few deep breaths in and out. And as you breathe out, just let go. Let go any tightness. Let go any stiffness. Let go any tensions. And feel that you're just relaxing as you breathe out, sighing away all cares and worries. Just take a few deep breaths and let go as you breathe out. And feel your body resting against its support at the back of the heels or the soles of the feet, at the back of the legs, the buttocks, the back, shoulders, back of the shoulders, back of the hands and arms, and the back of the head. And feel your body pressing against its support. Just letting go with that feeling. Letting go. Feeling the force of gravity pulling your body and the muscles towards the earth. Surrendering to the force of gravity. Surrendering to Mother Earth. And focusing on the feeling of stillness in your physical body. That solid stillness. Safe and secure. Intensify that feeling of stillness, solidness, secureness in your physical body. And within the stillness of your body, you begin to notice a subtle movement, the movement of your breath, being very careful not to change the natural rhythm of your breathing. Just let the breathing continue as it has been doing. And notice which parts of your body are moving as you breathe. Notice, is your stomach moving as you breathe? But don't change it. Notice, is your chest moving as you breathe? Keep it relaxed. Keep exploring the subtler and subtler movements that are happening as a result of your breathing. And then focus on your exhale breath and feel that with each exhale breath, you're letting go and relaxing more and more. Keeping your breathing relaxed and natural. Just letting go. As you breathe out, relaxing and letting go. Letting go worries. As you breathe out, letting go tensions. Letting go. Breathing out all your thoughts. Emptying your mind with each outgoing breath. Just breathing out those thoughts and emptying your mind. And then remember a happy memory. Perhaps a recent activity where you felt really happy and you were enjoying it. Remember a happy memory and see clearly where it was happening. See clearly who was there and what was happening. And relive that happy memory vividly now. Focusing on the feeling of happiness. As you keep reliving that happy memory, you can feel that happy feeling increasing, intensifying. With each inhale breath, that happy feeling is intensifying and growing as you keep reliving that happy memory. That happy feeling is growing and spreading, gradually filling your whole being, body and mind. With each inhale breath, that happy, positive energy is spreading to gradually fill you up, nourishing every cell of your being, body and mind. And when you finish filling yourself up with that happy, positive energy, send it like rays of golden light to your near and dear ones, to the people and creatures in your life. Share that happy, positive energy with them. And notice how that makes you feel. And then gently, gently come back, bringing back with you the inner experiences, insights, and energy. Come back to the movement of the breath in the body. Feel the breath moving in the body. Know that you're breathing. Know that that's an indication that you're alive. Come back to the physical body and feel the physicalness of solidness of your body all the way down to the fingertips and toes. And know that you are in this body for this lifetime. Come back to the floor or the support beneath your body and the space around your body and the rest of this room. And know that you are here now. And come back to the sounds happening around us. Listen to all those sounds, reorientating to the external world of sounds and activities, bringing back with you the experience of the inner world through the Yoga Nidra, short Yoga Nidra. The practice of this short Yoga Nidra is over now. Slowly make movements, have a big stretch, lengthen and deepen your breathing, bend and flex your knees if you like. And when you're quite ready, if you've been lying down, sit up into a comfortable seated posture with your eyes gently closed. And notice how you feel in the upright posture and after this little practice of short Yoga Nidra. Remembering that you can achieve this state of relaxation and enjoyment by yourself, simply by learning and practicing this practice, like I did. Let's finish off in the traditional way by chanting Om 3 times together, sending love and thanks to the world around. Take a deep breath in now. Om. 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 Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om Tat Sat.
Hari Om. Finish off with palming. Wrap the palms together until they're hot. Cup them over your eyes. Draw in the energy generated from your palms into your eyes and brain to refresh them. And gently open your eyes with a big smile on your face. And give that smile to everyone else. And keep it for the rest of the evening. Thank you.